We have a grammar question, and let's do a quick vertical scan. Adjustments prior with comma, period, and nothing. Okay, I'm probably going to focus on the period first. Let's check. The first computerized spreadsheet, VisiCalc, improved financial record keeping not only by providing users with an easy means of adjusting data in spreadsheets, but also by automatically updating all calculations that were dependent on these adjustments. This is an independent clause. After adjustments, we would say prior to VisiCalc's release, dependent clause, comma, changing a paper spreadsheet often required redoing the entire sheet by hand. That's an independent clause. So we need the period here. It's not going to be the no comma, comma, which would be a comma splice, or adjustments and, which would be a run-on sentence. Has to be C, the period. This is, again, our typical independent clause, period, dependent clause, comma, independent clause structure, as we see in the new boundaries questions. Grammar question, we've got ones, comma, semicolons, etc. The only one, well, we have a question of even so before the semicolon and even so after the semicolon. And chances are it's going to be one of those two. The other two will be wrong, given the typical structure of these for the new digital SAT. And we'll have to figure out which of these before or after the semicolon is correct. But let's take a look. It is generally true that technological change is a linear process in which once useful technologies are replaced by new and better ones. Even so, the reawakening of interest in the steam engine from advocates of carbon-neutral rail travel reminds us that ostensibly obsolete technologies may be brought back into service to address society's changing needs. Okay, so it is generally true that change is a linear process in which blah, blah, blah. That's an independent clause up to ones. And then afterward, the reawakening of interest in the steam engine reminds us that ostensibly obsolete changes or technologies may be brought back into service. That's an independent clause after. So again, it's not going to be the commas, B or D. We need a semicolon here. And the only question is whether even so comes before or after. So in which once useful technologies are replaced by new and better ones, even so, I think the even so goes after the semicolon. It would be new ones, that is new technology, semicolon, even so, the reawakening. So we have the idea that it's a linear process. We always replace old technologies with new, but even so is the contrasting transition that says, here's a case where we actually go back to the old technology to meet our new needs. So I think C is the correct answer. It should be semicolon, then even so. Grammar question, nutcracker, according, nutcracker, comma, according, comma, or a period. So the period's the only one that combines independent clauses. I'm going to probably start there as the possible answer. Let's check. In 2017, artist Isabel and Ruben Toledo redesigned the costumes and sets for the Miami City's ballet production of The Nutcracker. That's an independent clause. According to reviewers, the Toledo's designs helped infuse the production with elements of Miami's Latin American culture. That's an independent clause. I can't just have the commas or the no punctuation. I must have the period. That's the only answer that combines independent clauses. This is, again, our very typical new structure of independent clause, period, dependent clause or phrase, comma, independent clause in the new boundaries question section. 19. Okay, I've got a grammar question. I have sampler or sampler later, and I have various commas or possibly one semicolon. So the semicolon is the only one that will combine independent clauses. I'm going to check that one first, just like I would check a period first. Let's take a look. Seneca sculptor Mary Watt's blanket art comes in a range of shapes and sizes. In 2004, Watt sewed strips of blankets together to craft a 10 by 13 inch sampler. So that's an independent clause. That's a sentence by itself. Semicolon. In 2014, she arranged, so she did this in 2004, semicolon, related idea. In 2014, she rendered folded blankets into two large stacks. This is another independent clause. I need the semicolon. I can't have just commas or no commas. These are all comma splices and run-ons. B is the correct answer. Grammar question, earlier, period, in, earlier, which in, earlier, in, no punctuation. Again, I've got only one that combines independent clauses, the period there. I'm going to start with that option. Let's take a look. Humans were long thought to have begun copying the Peruvian settlement of Machu Picchu between 1440 and 1450. However, a team led by anthropologist Berger used accelerator mass spectrometry to uncover evidence that it was occupied earlier. That would be an independent clause, right up to there. Period. In 1420, comma, according to Berger, humans were likely inhabiting the area. That's an independent clause. I have to combine independent clauses here. I need the period. It's the only option that combines independent clauses. These are comma splices and run-ons. This is, again, our independent clause, period, dependent clause, phrase, independent clause structure. Typical of boundaries questions on the new digital SAT.